Greetings. Welcome to the very first Perfecting Equilibrium podcast. I'm Chris Viola, the Equilibrium dude. The great Gary Solomon has been suggesting for years that the stuff that we're doing here might be a lot more understandable if I did some videos on it. So, Gary, this one's for you. All right, today, the first in a series, New Jobs for a New Age. Job 1, Doll-E driver. Now, there's been enormous Sturm und Drang about all the jobs that are going to go away for creatives now that these supposed artificial intelligences are available. And that's true to a certain extent, but it's true in the way that professional photographers whose only real ability was to get things in focus lost their jobs when autofocus came along. You'll be pleased to know that there are many photographers out there today working professionally. What's changed is that, if anything, there's more because the raw skills such as developing film and printing and focus and exposure have largely been automated, especially since we rarely print anymore and push everything to a screen. Now we're going to see the same things happening here with graphic arts and writing and other similar textual things. So we're going to kind of do an overview with these prompt-based artificial intelligences by doing Doll-E driver today, and then we'll get into more direct job things in the future, like designing logos and some other similar writing blog posts and other similar tasks. So let's start today with something that I actually did last year, which is to just type in the name of my blog, newsletter, Substack, LinkedIn newsletter, whatever you want to call it. And let's see what we get from Doll-E out of that. Now, by the way, I'm going to have all of these linked down below, the links to Doll-E and the rest of these. And these are interesting, but really they could pass for ads for or a logo for a yoga studio. It doesn't really focus on the things that I want to focus on. So let's try adding some more words, more detail to the prompt, and see if that changes things at all. So we're going to add the word digital. Now, one of the nice things about Doll-E is that it gives you a history. You can see it on the right side. Okay, so now that we have yoga with a laptop, interesting, a little better, but not really much better here. So let's see what this one. Yeah, not really. As I was starting to say before, what you can see here is if you go to history, you can see the last ones that we did here, and if you scroll over them, you see what prompt gave you that. So what we're doing is basically working our way through and learning what words drive the Doll-E in different directions. So let's try in cyberspace. And see how that changes it from just the term digital. Okay, this is a little more interesting now. It's kind of spooky, interesting. We're starting to get less detailed in the features here, which I actually kind of like. And even the ones that have more traditional features have them in odd and peculiar and interesting ways. So let's see. Let's bring some more flavor to this now. What we can do here is you can also tell DALL-E to do it in someone's style. So let's say instead of just letting it choose the medium here, you'll notice that this is kind of painterly, where this is more of a photograph. So let's make it a painting by Gustav Klimt. Oh, it would help if I spelled Gustav correctly. Artificial intelligence defeated by Fiola's spelling. And then we use a comma to pull that off, to cordon that off, and let us generate and see what we get. Now you can also add digital art at the end of this, which tends to now that's kind of intriguing. I'm not sure that it is what we want. I'm not sure how this is perfecting equilibrium. So, yeah, this is more of a generic Klimt, it seems like to me. We're going to do two things now, as I was starting to say before. If we add digital art onto the end, it tends to sharpen up the results. But now we're going to go, let's do Miro. He has some equilibrium-ish paintings, do you not think? Let's see what that does. Well, this is much more interesting to me. Now again, there's no right or wrong here. There's what do you like. So this is much more intriguing to me, but I don't know that anyone would understand this if I used any of these as the logo for our Substack. So let's change this to Salvador Dali. Da, 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 da. Sorry for the pause there. I'm used to just using DALL-E, not talking about it while I'm using it. And we're going to make some improvements in the podcast as we go along. This being the first one, we'll see if we like this camera. We like where the software using, which is Loom. Pretty happy with the mic so far, but there's lots and lots of learning here, lots of new stuff that we can get to. So, and of course, while I'm dancing here, metaphorically speaking, DALL-E is taking its time. That's for sure. So, the system must be pretty loaded up. Well, here we are finally, and interestingly, it's giving me something similar to the ones I had the first time, but not exactly the same. So that's another piece of information for dealing with DALL-E, is that notice that the prompt here, a painting by Salvador Dali, perfecting equilibrium. Oh, I put in cyberspace. Let's try it one more time without in cyberspace. Last one for today. Digital art. I'm curious to see if I get the same results that I did when I first started driving this thing last year. And I do not. It's intriguing that the same prompt gives you different results. That's intriguing. But let's go to the history for a second here, and let us scroll all the way down to the bottom here. Give it a second to catch up. And you can see that here is my current, the one that I used for our logo. And it's the exact same prompt, and yet I got a very different result. I find that fascinating. I sure do. I sure do. And what I did after this is I took this as a starting point, and I built the logo by bringing this into Photoshop, getting rid of this bird up here, getting rid of this here, and this stick, and putting the words "perfecting equilibrium" on his hands. But you can see that on the accompanying graphics, so you can see how that ended up. Well, thank you for joining us for our first Perfecting Equilibrium podcast, vlog, whatever this is. And feedback really appreciated here, because we're getting started, so we got a lot to learn, and hopefully you'll enjoy the journey too. Thanks, and have a great day. Chris Fiola out.